If you're building or renovating your home, you're about to face a decision that most people skip entirely and regret later. Should your smart home run on wireless signals or physical cables? And why does this one choice impact everything else, from reliability and speed to cost, privacy, and even future expansion? Today, we dig deep into the hidden consequences of choosing wired or wireless, and I'll show you exactly what I chose for Project PSH and why. Let's get started. Most people assume the difference between wired and wireless is mostly technical. It's not. This is a foundational design choice, one that shapes the very architecture of your smart home. Wireless might sound more modern, but what works great for streaming movies or connecting your headphones doesn't always work for mission-critical home automation. Once you finish the build, changing infrastructure is hard. And if you make the wrong call here, you might find yourself stuck with a system that's unreliable, insecure, or impossible to scale. So let's look at both sides carefully. Let's start with wireless systems. They're everywhere, and they're especially popular in retrofits, rental flats, or homes where rewiring would be too invasive or too expensive. And that's their biggest advantage. No need to open walls or run conduits. Just mount the device, pair it, and you're done. They're also flexible. You can reposition sensors and switches, add new rooms, or remove old ones without touching the wiring. And they're usually cheaper at first because there's less labor involved. But it's not all perfect. In my experience, wireless systems come with real trade-offs. They're vulnerable to interference from walls, Wi-Fi traffic, nearby networks, or even the weather. Some devices just stop responding, randomly disappear from the network, or need a reboot. And batteries. Oh yes, batteries. For battery-powered sensors, the cost isn't just in money, it's in attention, because when one dies, nothing works, and you never know until it's too late. There's also latency. That might not sound serious, but imagine pressing a switch and the lights react half a second later. It adds up. And then there's privacy and security. Many wireless systems depend on cloud access or closed apps. That means you're relying on someone else's servers, someone else's ecosystem, and someone else's rules. Which also means one day your device could just stop working because the vendor shut down. So wireless has its place. But let's be honest, that place is usually not in a serious, mission-critical smart home. Now let's talk wired systems, because this is where the magic really starts. Cables might feel old school, but when it comes to smart infrastructure, they're the gold standard. Why? Because they're fast, they're stable, and they just work. No radio interference, no signal drop, no batteries. Once it's wired, it runs, and runs, and runs. Wired systems also let you power and control devices through the same cable, using protocols like PoE or Modbus TCP. This simplifies things dramatically. Security? Physical cables are much harder to hack than wireless signals floating in the air. And most importantly, there's zero latency. Press a switch, lights go on instantly, always. But of course, there are challenges too. Wired systems need to be planned early, ideally before plasterboard and finishes go in. They need more labor, more upfront cost, and a solid idea of how you'll use your home. And once the cables are in place, changing things later is harder. Not impossible, just harder. But that's also the point. Wired systems give you structure, stability, predictability. That's exactly what we want in automation. Now, let's zoom in on some of the actual protocols used in smart homes today. On the wireless side, we have Wi-Fi, universal but power-hungry and noisy; Zigbee, low-power mesh, works well for sensors; Z-Wave, similar but more standardized, especially in Europe; Thread, newer, IP-based, and gaining popularity thanks to Matter; and Bluetooth Low Energy, short range, useful for presence detection. And of course, various proprietary RF solutions like 433 or 868 MHz. Cheap but unreliable and unsecure. On the wired side, we have Modbus RTU, used for decades in industry, simple, solid; Modbus TCP, same logic but over Ethernet, faster, smarter; CAN and CAN Open, incredibly robust, used in cars and heavy machinery; KNX, very standardized, especially in pro installs; RS-485, the physical layer behind Modbus and other protocols; and DALI, specifically for advanced lighting control.
Each of these has its own rules, strengths, and quirks. But what unites the wired group is one thing: serious reliability. So, what did I choose? After years of testing, failing, rebuilding, and testing again, I chose wired. Specifically, I chose Modbus TCP over Ethernet. Why? Because I'm building this house from scratch. It would be crazy to skip the opportunity to run physical cables now just to save time or money short term. I've tested Zigbee, Thread, BLE, custom RF solutions. Some worked beautifully for years, some failed the first week. But even the best wireless setups can't match the stability of a simple cable. Modbus is proven, open, well-documented, used all over the world in factories and industry. It's fast, it's easy to debug, and most importantly, I understand it. I don't want a system I just consume. I want a system I build, maintain, improve, myself. And because I'm laying Cat6 Ethernet cables everywhere, I keep my options open. Modbus, CAN, PoE, maybe even something completely new in 10 years. That flexibility is exactly why I'm doing it this way. So, should you go wired or wireless? It depends. If your home is already built, wireless might be your only option. But if you're building new and you care about reliability, privacy, and control, skipping cables might be a mistake. Build the backbone once and build it strong. Because smart homes aren't about gimmicks. They're about building something that works, for real, every day. And this decision, wired or wireless, this is where it all begins. In the next episode, we'll go even deeper into the wiring topology I'm planning for Project PSH. Star topology, physical logic, central panels, and how to design a system that's flexible, maintainable, and future-ready. See you there.